Okay. So thanks for joining me this Friday. I know I'm sure a lot of other things you could be doing. We'll just spend a little bit of time, and then you can be on your way. And we do have training tomorrow, as scheduled, normal schedule, 9:30 a.m. We'll break into the different classrooms. I'll send out the registration, Shundell. If you can send out the registration to me, and we'll get that out to all the trainees that will be in the class. And we will finish. This is our last weekend of the month, and then month end is in a couple days after that. So let's finish out the month strong. So last week, if you can hear me, see me, and see my screen, give me a thumbs up. Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate it. Last week, we went over something very quickly on how to increase life production. And I gave one, or not last week, but I think it was during the week, not last Friday, increasing life sales. And I went through a basic script. I'll go through it really quickly again. Remember, nothing bad happens when you call your clients. Always call your clients. Stay in good contact with your clients. Build clients for life. You should call your clients every quarter minimum, okay? Even if you don't speak with them, you should call them. They should hear your voice. You should take care of your clients. You call and say, hey, listen, Richard, just looking at your account, give me a call. Nothing urgent, but I just wanted to touch base with you. You don't need to scare them. You don't need to, you want to manage the expectations. And then when you talk to them, chit chat, I have really good news for you. I was doing a review of your life insurance. And as you'll recall, when we applied for your original coverage, we picked a plan that was affordable, but didn't fully protect you. Let me explain. And you can say, I remember the kids in college and your home mortgage and the debt and stuff like that. And you can kind of go back into the specific situation. Here's the good news. I realized that for only $1 a day more, we can get an extra 150, and for an extra $2 a day, we can get an extra 300,000. The best part is you don't need to pay any money up front like you did last time. Isn't that amazing? Tell me which plan best meets your needs. Okay. And so the pointers that we went on that are, just call, make sure you chit chat, prepare and do the calculation, know the quotes for the specific client, and the client must be on monthly draft in order for you to get credit, advanced, all of it. Okay. Same with terminated clients. If you have a, client that's already been terminated, I saw that you're in jeopardy of losing your life insurance coverage. Was that an accident? I know before you let your policy go, with everything going on, many clients are interested in just getting something in place. All right. So I'm going to go today's training. Those are things that I covered last week, and I just added on to this. I used to do a training all the time when we meet in person on Friday in our old office in Herndon. And it was called Ways to Increase Life Closes. And I felt it's necessary today to do that. And we can update it with the current climate in terms of stay at home and virtual and fintech and all that stuff. How to increase your life production. Your ultimate goal, and not ultimate goal, like I think you can do much more than this, but is to at least do 10 life sales a month. That means you are in 20 homes a month, which is 5 appointments a week. That means you're not having money problems. That means you're more attractive. Okay, this is not, now look, if you're part-time, awesome. And if this isn't your goal to ever go full-time, that's okay. But if you're full-time here, you need to try to get to 10 sales a month. That's the end game. When you get to 10 sales a month, you don't have money problems. You got to be closing business every week. That means you have to go on appointments, and you also have to be able to do some of the things that I'm talking about. Okay. So first thing is fully qualify your appointment. Okay. Remember, gainful employment and health of at least one of the applicants, if not both. Okay. People have to be working. Disability is not gainful employment. Unemployment is not gainful employment. Money from a family member is not gainful employment. We need to sit down with people that are working. They have an income. It's consistent. It doesn't have to be a lot, but it's consistent. It's steady. I know, remember, this is financial services. It's not social services. We cannot help people that have no money. Now, we don't have account minimums, meaning it's 25 or 50 bucks a month, but if they're worried about surviving, it's probably not going to be a great appointment. And then health. When you're setting up appointments with your brand new people and they're their first 5, you might want to throw that out there. Hey, do you know if they've ever had any major health issues? If someone's just beat cancer 3-4 years ago, I mean, you can do the appointment, but it's not going to be the best appointment to go to right away. Well, I just want them to learn. Okay. My brother-in-law's into fishing. He'd never take the kids out to a place where there's no fish. Well, I just want them to practice casting and get used to the weather and the boat. No, the kids won't have any fun and they'll give up. You fish where there are fish. And we got to close business. We got to get results. 80% of writing life sales is due to being in the right market and the credibility of the person you are training. 5-point plus, not just 5-pointers. See, a lot of you guys are going on 1, 2, 3-pointers. No, 5-point plus is the best market, not just 5-pointers, not just married, kids, homeowner, 25, 55, employed, income, live on their own. You've known them for 3 years plus. They're motivated. They're ambitious. You have a good relationship with them. They've been in the area, wherever they are. They're not transient. They've been there for 3 to 5 years. That's a 5-point plus. Don't teach your new recruits to do the business the wrong way. Two times to qualify the appointment. The fast start meeting, right? When you're there with them, you qualify. And then when new person sets more appointments on their own, you always double check the quality of the appointment. You qualify it. Set the appointment strong. It's easy to get someone to say yes to help you. The key is scheduling a time, both the spouses, and setting a firm appointment. Can you make sure this is a good time for your wife? It doesn't count for my training if both of you are not present. You have to say that. Look, I've actually been doing a lot more Zoom appointments, training some new people. And, a lot of times it's almost like a dark house, right? I mean, not a dark house, but, funny appointment. You get on the Zoom and there's only one person there. Oh, she's out, or he's out, or, he's asleep, or, you can't do the appointment. And it's just a waste of everybody's time. The key is scheduling a time, both the spouses, and setting a firm appointment. Can you make sure this is a good time for Richard? It doesn't count for my training if both of you are not present. Set strong. If you need to schedule another time, please do your best 1 to 2 days in advance, because if you call the same day, I won't have enough time to schedule someone else. I know it's hard for the training to say, but hey, please do but can you give me a call at least a day or two in advance? If you call me the same day, I can't schedule somebody else in your time, and I'm bringing my trainer with you, and I can't get that time back. Points to remember. Always use this. Can we set a tentative time? Can we pencil it in? And if it doesn't work, just give me a call and let me know. But while I have, while we're on the Zoom right now and I have my calendar in front of you, your calendar's in front of you, let's just pencil it in. Let's set something tentatively. Okay. Now, when I say setting the appointment strong, okay, and this is very critical, especially when we were going and meeting people, and some people are meeting people face to face still, which is fine. But when you're going and you're driving to see people, yeah, you got to, I mean, it's 45 minutes away. You got to make sure the spouse is going to be there. If you don't, you're very upset. You wasted gas, tolls, you hired a sitter, you reserved your evening to go on appointments, and you don't want that. Same with that client. They're a little bit more invested when you sit down with them and you come to their house or you guys meet. Zoom is still, you have to set the appointment up right. Okay. Like I said, I've been going on appointments and I'm learning this trial and error. And most of this business, you learn trial and error. Most of it's you do something, it doesn't work. You do something and it does work. And you do more of the things that work and you do less of the things that don't work. That's really my business philosophy. I know it doesn't sound simple. I mean, it doesn't sound like sexy and exotic, but that's what it is. I do a lot of things and when they work. So I've been doing a lot of Zooms and it hasn't been working. And what I mean by that is I'm not setting up the Zoom properly. What kind of things can we do on Zoom to set the appointment strong? Well, and I'm going to talk about your etiquette in a minute, but if possible, Robert, don't log in through a phone, right? Now you got to say that politely, but you don't want your client logging in on a phone. They can't pay attention. Do you have a tablet? Do you have a desktop? It just, the functionality of it makes it go a lot better. You can see both the people. Look, I do some Zoom appointments with the phone and the person is walking around. It looks like they're exercising when they're trying to do the appointment. I got so nauseous, I got dizzy. I was like, I can't do this appointment. I mean, you're walking up and down and, the phone is going, you see the sky, you see the ground. I'm like, what are you doing? And I try to keep my cool, but it's very difficult. I get it. We're in a podcast environment where people can be on the toilet and listening to a self-improvement podcast. That's not the same thing for an appointment. Okay? I mean it. Even me, right? Like I try to dress up before I do my Zooms. Now, look, I have my virtual office and I have bedhead and all of that stuff, but what you put into this, you're going to get out of it. And same with your clients, right? If they put a little bit more in and you prepare them a little bit more to take this a little bit more serious. Hey, when are you guys not distracted? Can you use a desktop or a tablet? Do you have at least a tablet? It just doesn't work on a phone. I would say that because the functionality, the slides, it doesn't work on a phone. It's going to be very difficult for you to do the appointment and have success and get any results. Okay. You want to make a great first impression, smile. You want to have a good background. Your technology, the lighting, the device you're using. What are the priorities of devices you want to use? For me, I don't know everybody's functionality of their devices. Right now I'm on an Apple laptop. Okay. This functionality is not as good as my desktop. I have a desktop, right? I can't use it right this second. So my priority, my pecking order is desktop, laptop, then tablet, and I don't even use a phone. I don't even use a phone for Zoom, and I don't think you should. Okay, and listen, tablets. I used a tablet for a long time. I did Zoom ops, and people hammered me. It was like they it was like people on Twitter when they just get destroyed on Twitter. People are like, hey man, what are you doing? Why are you drawing on it? We can't see you. When we see you, you're up in the screen like this. And look, I don't want to get you to spend more money, but you do have to invest in your business. Getting the right technology. I don't think you need to, have a green screen and, but if understand where the light should be and where the sunlight is and put a lamp behind your computer and your camera, just so you have proper lighting, so you feel good about what you're doing. And then know which device to use. You want to make a great first impression. You don't want to have bedhead. You want to be dressed appropriately. You want to, all that stuff. Okay. Don't do one-legged appointments. I never do one-legged appointments. That doesn't mean I don't meet with somebody for 5 to 10 minutes to explain a little bit about what we do and introduce myself. Absolutely. To maybe pique some interest, but I'm not going to go through the full presentation, the commitments, the quadrant, getting all this information it's very, very rare that I do it. And when I say rare, I mean one in like 30 or 40 appointments. I would actually do a full appointment that's one-legged. I need both of them there so they digest the information simultaneously at the same time, and I can ask both of them the commitment questions. I can disturb them. I can get a dollar commitment. I do not want one party relaying it to the other, and it just never works out. So do not do one-legged appointments. Build rapport, right? Especially now with technology, you have to do a great job of building rapport. Usually face to face, it's a little bit easier, but now through technology, you have to ask them a lot more questions. You know, how do you know each other? How did you guys meet? What do you do for work, family? You know, and you got to see what people like to talk about, right? I enjoy when I meet with couples, I always ask, how did you guys meet? Because then they start talking about, usually it's like a honeymoon phase and how they met, and the courting phase of a relationship, and they're excited, and they talk to me about what brought them here, or at work or at school, or we met at this or online or whatever it is. And they start talking about it, and I can be sincerely and genuinely interested in them. Okay. Sometimes that doesn't work for people. Sometimes when you say, how do you know each other? They don't want to talk about that. So, you know, some people like to talk about their work or their kids or where they grew up or what college they went to. Now, you don't want to go 20, 30 minutes, but you want people talking about themselves, getting excited, getting loose, right? And preparing for the appointment. And you're taking mental notes, you're taking physical notes, you're learning their personality types, but you have to get them talking, and you have to build rapport. And always remember this: wait, why am I talking? There's really no benefit for you talking a lot. Now, unless you're presenting and closing and sharing stories, the most important person is the hero, and the hero in the story is the client. Okay, is the appointment, is the new recruit that you're trying to recruit. Okay. Questions. Okay. Use and memorize all the questions on the presentation, all of them. The commitment questions. If we could put together a program that's smarter in every way, is there any reason you wouldn't implement that plan? Is protecting your family important enough that you would set aside money every month to take care of this? The involvement questions. Hey, can I ask you, Robert, why didn't you, why didn't you ever decide to get private life insurance and just rely on group? That's an open-ended, that's an involvement question. Getting them to think about, you got to know all the questions. Obviously, if you died, would you want your family's standard of living better, worse, or minimum stay the same? If something happened to you today, would your family standard of living? Where do you think we should start on the foundation? Can you see how your income provides life for your family? Do you feel overinsured, underinsured, not sure? Can you see why we don't rely on group coverage solely? Would you knowingly put your money in this? If you had something that worked like this, how quickly would you want to get out of it? All these questions are very important, and you need to memorize every single question. Leave no stone unturned. Leave nothing to chance. Use open-ended questions when necessary. Well, what would happen in your family today? I'm not sure. Okay, well, would they be able to stay in this house? No. Where do you think they'd have? Do you think they'd upgrade or downgrade? How would that make you feel? And you ask open-ended questions is going to get them thinking as well. Presenting. Your presentation must be compelling and disturbing. You're using questions, we just talked about that, and stories. Create a sense of urgency for someone with no personal life insurance. A presentation that people cannot say no to. If they don't have any, they need you to help them with this immediate need. Now, I read a book a long time ago. It was a great book. It's called Building a $1 million Insurance Agency in 7 Years. And the guy said that, and he, it was very relevant. Obviously, these guys sold the wrong products, but he created a team of salespeople to help people with insurance. Now, they sold the wrong products, cash value, all that stuff. So I'm not saying their ethics are in the right place. But you can learn a lot from people that sell whole life insurance, because if they can get a client to pay $300-400 a month, we can get somebody to pay $60 a month. Okay. And you can learn what they're saying and their closing techniques and their methods. And he said that he would take field trips to a funeral home with his agents, so people could see the reality of when people die and the financial effects it has on the family. And many of you have dealt with up close and personal with someone that's passed away. And the funeral home, they're asking for money Do you have insurance? When's the insurance claim coming? You know, they're talking dollars and cents immediately. Cremation, caskets, stones, burial plots, shipping a body. And that's just the funeral part. That's not life after the funeral, but he would do that, right? Obviously, you know, I don't think we've ever done that. I've never done that. But we have technology now. Before you do appointments, and I would recommend this definitely locally, read GoFundMe's. You know, we've done that in our office before. We bring some up, read them. See, a lot of times you are thinking that your client may never die. Your client, unfortunately, will pass away. We just don't know when. Everybody will pass away. But the great mystery of life is what? We don't know the date. And while we don't want a depressing negative appointment, this is a reality that people are walking around with no protection. They have nothing in place. And a simple application that takes 10 minutes, they could have something in place and ensure their family's financial security forever. But we have to create a sense of urgency for someone with no personal life insurance, a presentation that people cannot say no to. And if they don't have any, they need you to help them with that immediate need. Destroying group. Okay. Where I live in the Washington, D.C. metro area, I can't speak for everybody. I know geographically there are some different areas, but we're home of the federal government. And there's a lot of big defense contracting corporations. And people think they're tight because of their job, right? I had my badge, I had orientation, I had a resume. I used to wear my badge everywhere I went. I wear around like a little dog tag so people could see it. I made sure it was very visible. I had a job. I was making $35,000 a year. I hated my job, but I always wore that tag. Why? I wanted everybody to know what kind of company I work for. And people are so proud. I work for, you know, and these are the companies I used to work, Ernst & Young and, you know, SAIC and Network Solutions and VeriSign and all these companies, right? And people are so proud of the company, and they think that the company really truly cares about them, and they think that their group benefits are the best. And you know, I remember, you know, Gabe and I were talking one time with somebody, and they was, oh man, you know, I work for, and I think he was working for Freddie Mac at the time, or Fannie Mae. Gabe, you correct me. And he's like, I'll never, you know. And then the 2006-07 happened, and he got laid off. Right, he was no longer with the company. And you know, obviously, that's how a lot of people think. You know, a lot of people think like that. And so where I live, the biggest enemy we have in getting people coverage is they rely on group. They think their group employer provided life insurance will take care of them. And you got to learn how to destroy group. Never, ever, 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 ever depend on group life insurance. And that has to be your mentality. So you got to know the group certificate in and out. You got to know the words. You got to learn, you know the highlighted parts. You got to know what inactive, active versus, you know, employment versus inactive or not active, or, you know, disability. You know, what is an actively at work requirement? You got, you know, sometimes you have to let the clients read the part so they can internalize it. Okay. You got to know the video. You got to show the video. You have to know all the questions within the group. Okay. You know, what are the odds of? And then you have to have stories. Now, the video is a great story. It's a great visual. You got to have some of your own stories. And, you know, last thing, you know, a tip on, you know, dying fast versus slow, right? In a very simple way to put it, not all death is sudden death. Okay. Most death actually is not sudden. I was reading something, you know, that even cardiac arrest or heart attacks, only 12% of people that get a heart attack pass away from the actual heart attack. Many of them are hospitalized and they pass later, or they get, you know, injured or disabled. And 20% of people die sudden deaths. They die immediate deaths. 80% of people, when they pass away, it's not sudden, it's prolonged, it's a sickness, it's extended illness, and they die. And if you're working and you cannot work, I mean, think about this, right? I mean, people, they really think, oh, I have something at work. And like that story, that we show in the video of a teacher that's dying of, he died of cancer. And think about this, somebody is dying of an illness. We'll say cancer. They're dying, and they're worried about their group benefits, so they have to go to. I mean, this is somebody that might be terminal and might be ready to move on to the next life, and they're worried about going into work to trigger insurance benefits. I mean, this is time they could be spending with their family, their last wishes. They may not even be in a physical state to go into work. The pain. And I'm not trying to be insensitive here, but when people say things like this, they don't understand. You're not going to be worried about going into work or getting on the 1st of the month or the 18th of the month because of your insurance. You might be in pain, or you may want to travel, or you may want to spend time with your family. And so, one thing you can say to a client is like, hey, listen, this is like giving you an insurance policy where it'll pay out, Richard, but you have to die on Monday. Well, I'm not sure I want that. I want it to pay out if I die on the other days of the week. No, this will only pay out if you die on Monday. Well, how would that work? Well, that's how your group insurance works, because it only pays out 20% of the time. Because unless it's a sudden death, unless it's a death, where you're at your place of employment. Some group certificates, you have to be on the premises. And there's so many gotchas in this group insurance, you cannot rely on it. And you have to unload on group, all right? You have one shot to unload. You got to get passionate about it, and you have to destroy it. Cash value. You must be able to kill cash value. Banks and fridges. You got to know the funnel. Universal life, VUL, IUL, index universal life. All insurance is term insurance, and then they add some of the bells and whistles to it. And that's always bad for the client. It's always bad for you. If you get cash value, it's very expensive. The fees are really high, so you can't get proper protection. You got to understand the crusade of our company and looking through these policies. Okay, we go through these policies every Saturday. We go through all this stuff. We have a library of information on YouTube. I'm not going to go through this in depth right now, but you got to be able to destroy cash value life insurance. Quoting people. Okay, don't give quotes unless you have a commitment to do business. You have a dollar commitment, preferably from both, right? I've been doing Zooms. I got a dollar commitment from one, didn't get one from the other. And on the carryback, that resurfaced because one of the partners poisoned the other partner because they didn't give me a commitment. I thought, well, I can get $1 commitment. That's fine. No, that was not fine. I realized when I went back, they both didn't see the need. And as opposed to the one person that sees the need convincing the other person to see the need, the one person that didn't see the need convinced the other person that we don't need it. And I should have handled that up front, but I didn't, and it came back to bite me. So you need a dollar commitment. How much can you comfortably put toward this on a monthly basis? How much do you? How much do you? Don't give a quote unless you have time to close. Before you give a quote and you're looking to close, how much time do we have? Right? Handle that right away. You don't want to get in the application and say, oh, you know what? I'm at 1%. My battery's going to die. Or, I got to go 15 minutes. I got to pick up the kids. I had that just happen, right? Somebody had to go. It was an emergency. We couldn't get through it. Never saw the client anymore. That was my fault. You've seen the policy or you have all the info, okay? Sometimes you can tell by the way they answer the questions, they do know their policy information. They know how much coverage they have. They may not know every exact detail, but they know how much they pay. They know how their policy, for the most part, works. We obviously, ideally, always want to see the policy. But sometimes if they can't get it, you can run a quote if you feel they're credible in giving you the information about the policy. If they sound confident and sure, it's not an ideal situation, but it's still better than giving them a quote without seeing the policy at all. You will never get that business. Know the big 3 objections, and I'll send this out to my trainers right now. We'll go over those tomorrow. This will be one of the things that we do in training. If someone can go over the big 3 objections, I want to think about it, or we want to talk it over. Not sure I can afford it. I want to shop around. I want to think about it. We want to talk it over. Not sure I can afford it, and I want to shop around. You got to know those 3 objections. Do not end the appointment without setting another appointment. Do not get off that Zoom. Don't end the appointment without having another appointment set in stone. And it should be within 2 to 5 days, 7 days max. Okay. Now, I did this training a long time ago. This wasn't Zoom. This wasn't pandemic. This wasn't distance learning. This wasn't, everything, on your phone and on your computer. 7 days might be too long. Give them 1 to 2 days at a time, alternative choice. We find, Kanisha, it's best, if it's fresher on your mind and ours. So is Monday or Tuesday possible, 4 or 6? And you give them 2 days. And when I schedule an appointment, I don't just I get the 1 day, say, okay, Kanisha, let's go on Monday. But if for whatever reason Monday doesn't work, let's get an alternate day just in case. And I schedule 2 days. So I have that in my schedule, and they know I'm very serious and I'm very firm about doing this appointment. Prepare them, emotionally prepare them to do business on the next appointment, and use this to confirm your commitment. Next time we meet, we will, and you say, we're going to review your money GPS. We're going to, go over your financial independence number. We're going to talk about your 401k and your investments. And if everything makes sense to you, we're going to, we'll begin the process of implementing your new coverage. Does that sound good? And they might say, what does that process involve? Oh, no, I just have to go through a quick application. Like I mentioned, how the process works. We'll take the good faith deposit and we'll get that process started. Head nodding, very assumptive. Next time we meet, we will. And if everything makes sense to you, we will begin the process of implementing your new coverage. Does that sound good? Engage. Okay, you got to engage both spouses. Never assume the quiet one is not the decision maker or the passive one, the less talkative one. And even if they're not the final decision maker, both spouses usually have veto power. If you don't win them over, they usually can nix it. Okay, it's very rare that, like I said, one person gets to talk the other person into it. Most of the time, if you have not won over one of the partners or the spouses, they talk the other person out of it. So you have to engage both of them throughout the presentation. Final thoughts. Closing is like riding a bike. Okay, you'll fall down several times. I didn't say if, I said you will. You will fall down several times. But once you got it, you got it. Closing is helping people make decisions that are in their best interest. Always remember that. We're not twisting people's arms to do anything that's wrong for them. We're getting them protection. We're getting them saving money. We're getting them out of debt. We're putting their kids in college. We're getting them a will. So you don't have to feel conflicted. We don't sell cash value. We don't sell, IUL, VUL. We don't sell anything like that. We sell the best product in the industry. And to build your closing skills, you must first close too early and too often, not too little, too late, or you won't learn. So, look, for you trainers out there, and I mean this, okay? I got trained. My vice president was a phenomenal closer. And he didn't give a what, okay? He didn't care. He didn't care how tense it got. He didn't care how awkward it got. I mean, this guy was a hard closer. And I learned a lot from him. And I remember on the appointments, I thought it was not my particular taste, but his techniques were impeccable. The questions he has, the way he did it. And you know what? I always learned to close first, and then I could back it up, right? I could learn how to be a little more subtle. It's easier to train a barbarian to be civilized than a civilized person to become a barbarian, right? Close, 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 close. And you don't have to be a jerk about it, but you ask the questions, right? You read the Tom Hopkins books, how to master the art of financial services, how to master the art of selling, right? You listen to the audios, you listen to all the Hector Lamarck audios on overcoming objections, and all the great leaders in our company have overcoming objections, and you learn how to close. You learn how to review. You learn how to, use the information that you dug up during the appointment and bring it back to the forefront. You learn how to get a dollar commitment. You learn how to run a quote properly. You explain the process. You learn how to the Ben Franklin close, and if the positives outweigh the negatives. You learn every single close, and you'll find 5 to 10 power closes that work for you. But you got to be a closer. Hector Lamarck says if you can get 70% or better of people to say yes to you, Primerica is a money machine. It's an ATM, and you can withdraw money from this at any time. Think about that. You have to become an excellent closer. Invest your time and your resources and your energy and your mental energy to learn how to close, and put yourself out there and go try to do it. Go sit down with a lot of people, talk to a lot of people, present to a lot, learn different closing techniques. We train on this stuff every Saturday. So these were just some tips. Like I said, I didn't want to keep you too long. I appreciate you spending your morning with me. Tomorrow, we have training as normal, 9:30. We'll break up in classes. Shondell just posted the chat. She sent the registration. I will forward that on. Thank you for that, Shondell. We will have, our top gun. We'll also have our top turnout, and then we'll get ready to finish out the end of the month. I hope everybody had, like I said, a great holiday. Thanksgiving for me is always my favorite holiday. Football, turkey, tryptophan, family, being, grateful. If you're a soccer fan, we had some really heartbreaking news. Maradona passed away, and many people would feel, and I actually am in this camp, I feel he was the greatest soccer player of all time. And I remember watching the World Cup with my grandfather, my mom's dad, and my grandfather loved Maradona. He loved Maradona. And I grew up as a Maradona fan. And, I think about that when he passed away, and I think about my grandfather too. And, sometimes, we forget how fleeting this is, right? That we're here just for a minute, and you got to be a great example, right? Because that's all you're going to have, right? I mean, I remember, I was reading about Maradona one time, and he said, and then someone actually did a talk on this in a Primerica event. Then I read about it because I thought the talk was so compelling. Bobby Gokul said that. He said, Maradona had two personalities. He had Diego, which was him, and then he had Maradona. And Maradona was who you saw on TV, but Diego was him. And he goes, I'm just trying to get Diego better. He goes, Maradona is who I am on the football field, but I got to get Diego better. And I think about that all the time, right? What a humbling way to be, right? And, Maradona obviously had a lot of personal issues, but boy, that guy could ball, man. He was the best soccer player I feel of all time. And, I know Argentina had mourning for 3 days because of him, because of what he's done on the football field. So on the soccer field, sorry. But anyways, just made me remember my grandfather over Thanksgiving and how we used to spend time, and how my dad and I went to the World Cup. And, it was just a cool experience, remembering my family like that. Because my mom loves Maradona too, because her dad was such a diehard fan. Like, Shay, you like Kobe? That's how my grandfather liked Maradona. So anyways, we're gonna have an unbelievable training tomorrow. Let's pack it out. I think we had 150 people on the Zoom last week. You can correct me if I'm wrong. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. This will be posted on there today. use some of these tips to help you close business. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Appreciate you guys.